Hey, what's going on? Keith here from Sports Vibes TV, and I'm joined by my co-host for the evening, Steven Fox. Foxy, how's everything with you? You doing good
Every
on this Sunday evening?
Oh, thank you. I hope all is well with you. Salute to you. Salute to the chat. Salute to the SV Nation. Happy Sunday. Our New York football teams won. Hallelujah. Our New York Yankees won. Hallelujah. The Mets are the same. But ladies and gentlemen, our New York Knicks start our exhibition season on Tuesday. Thank the Lord. I can't wait. I can't wait. We're talking New York Knicks basketball tonight.
Yeah, and I'm in a good mood. Like you said, the Giants won. Not too concerned about the Jets. That's more so on your end of the court. Unfortunately, the Yankees won. I'm not a big Yankees fan. You know, I'm a Mets fan on this side. But if it makes the city happy, then I'll live with it. But they're going to have a pretty tough task against them with the Boston Red Sox on the schedule.
Yeah, I'm a Bronx boy, so it's in my DNA. I have to love the Yankees or I'll get excommunicated.
They used to get my car towed back in college, so I got a personal vendetta against them. So, Foxy, we're here to talk some Knicks. There's been a lot going on. One of the big news from today is the fact that LUCA VILDOZA has been cut. So I'm going to start the show with a little, soundbite from Coach Thibodeau, in which he's discussing the cutting of LUCA VILDOZA. So, chat. Thank you guys for tuning in today. I'm going to play the video now and let me know your thoughts in the chat as well.
Yeah, so we just got the release about Luka, and I guess he had real ankle issues. What was the biggest concern?
And that's probably the biggest thing is that you got to make roster decisions this time of the year, and so availability is a big part of it, and we feel the guys that are here, those are the guys that are fighting it out for that last spot. So, but he's a good player, and we wish him well.
Was he weeks away from maybe even being on the court, or was it one of those things you just couldn't wait?
We couldn't wait, and we just felt like we've had guys here all summer doing a really good job, and so we feel that's the best decision for the team.
So, Foxy, we heard it from Tibbs. It sounds like the ankle injury or the foot injury is a major factor in them cutting Luka, which is to be expected. This is training camp. There's only one roster spot available, and as you heard, Tibbs is going to ride with the guys that have been there all summer. That's going to be guys like Selden, maybe even MJ Walker, even though you didn't talk too much about him, and even guys like Dwayne Bacon. So, Foxy, what are your thoughts on this news that LUCA VILDOZA has now been cut?
I thought it was going to happen. I'm glad. I thought it was a class act that they did it before, let him get on with his life. There was just too many people. At the one, we have obviously Kemba and D Rose and IQ and Miles, and he at his age, even if he, they kept him around, he'd be 27, and then next year Rokas is here. So, and then at the two, we have RJ, IQ again. We have Grimes. So, didn't see that. And you could tell he loves gym rats, Tibbs. And his boys, he saw him morning, noon, and night at all hours there. Didn't see Luka, out of sight, out of mind. And so I think he put the nails in his own grave by being that distant.
Yeah, you say Tibbs likes gym rats, and I've been following Luka this whole time, ever since he's been diagnosed with the injury. He went over to Spain for rehab, and at least publicly, I really didn't get the impression that he was willing to give it his all to kind of secure that last spot. We're seeing footage of IQ and Obi doing workouts online. We're also seeing, some footage of Mitch, whether that be lifting weights, things like that. And I know Luka was rehabbing, but I saw more of him, enjoying life, let's put it like that, as opposed to him being focused on securing that spot in the NBA. And I don't really upload it here on the channel or talk about it too much because I'm not really here to get into these guys' personal lives. But I would have liked to see him have a little bit more, be a little bit more
ambitious,
enthusiastic. Or thank you, enthusiastic, ambitious about being in the NBA. Because I still think he has the skills to be a solid NBA contributor. It just seems like I don't know if Luka felt the same way.
Yeah, you can't, I think the best decision for him was to say, I'm not going to go to the Olympics for my country. I'm going to go to Westchester. I'm going to do everything I can to learn that playbook, get into Tibbs' head, what he wants out of a point guard, and just be there. Let his assistants, let the development team, but you can't do it from a distance. And you could see in the body language of Tibbs that he wished him well. But, what am I supposed to do with a guy? And as a shout out to our boy, Ron Cleveland, he always used to say the best ability is your availability. So if he's not here for him to see him and the team to make assessments of how he could do. And like you said, I brought it up last week, Kobe gave his seal of approval, but that was a number of years ago. He's not a 19 or a 20-year-old kid. So we saw with Scotty Barnes, his issues with athleticism, and that was just one game. So they're not only stacked this year, they're stacked next year with Rokas coming over, and I know that we'll talk about him in a moment or so. But like I said, it was a good quick divorce, an Argentinian divorce.
Yeah, my thing is, I think it even started before the Olympics because CP over on Knicks Fan TV, he had an interview that he was part of the media press, and Luka didn't sound too confident when he had his one-on-one conversations with Tibbs even before he went over to Tokyo to play in the Olympics. It sounded like Tibbs told him, hey, your defense is not cutting it, because that's something that he mentioned in the little interview. And I think that kind of messed with his head. I don't know if his head was in the right position or in the right situation for him to make this leap into the NBA at this point in time. I hope he's able to catch on with another team at some point.
Me too. And not only the NBA, New York, the media, the fans, it's a whole different thing when you have 60 people in the locker room rather than 6 at a small market team. So, and you're right on target, man. His body language, he was looking down. He had lack of eye contact during the interview, the way he was talking. And Tibbs and just everyone in the NBA, man, if you don't have an attitude that you're the best guy in the court, you're not going to be on the court. And he's not on the Knicks court. So like Tibbs said, I wish him best of luck. He's a young man. I don't wish bad on anyone. Let's see if he can catch on to another team. And if not, he'll have a good career in Europe.
Yeah, and you say he ended up on the wrong team. I mean, in the wrong city. I think he ended up in the right city for the wrong reasons. If you go off of his socials, he was enjoying New York. That's for sure. He was enjoying everywhere he went. He enjoyed Vegas. He enjoyed New York, and he enjoyed his time over in Spain.
And now he has a lot of time on his hand to enjoy himself,
and a decent amount of money too, because he still is gonna go home with the money that we paid him for the couple of weeks he was with the team last season.
No doubt.
Yeah, so let's move on to the next Knick that has some foreign ties, and that's going to be Rokas Jokubaitis. Now, Foxy, you aware what our guy Rokas is doing, our second round pick?
Yeah, well, thanks to you. You dropped a great video. Everybody, if you haven't checked out my guy's video, check it out. And then that was yesterday, 12 points, 5 for 5. Today, 22 points. So beautiful stroke, man. I commented on your video that I just love he doesn't pick his dribble up. He's, like I said last week, he's the definition of a floor general. Great court vision. Doesn't pick that dribble up. Holds it to the last second, and all of a sudden, guys get open. Beautiful stroke. Penetrates. This is a really good problem for us to have next year.
Yeah, I can't recall if he said it either during the draft or after the draft, but he said that's something that he was working on, making sure when he got into the paint, he didn't pick his dribble up, and that way he was able to have more options and he didn't get trapped by the defense. So I'm glad that we're seeing those results in a league in which it's the second best league over there in Spain, and I'm excited in what he could potentially contribute. And he could also be a trade piece if other teams around the league are noticing the same things
They have
we're
to notice
noticing
it.
from
Yeah.
From our house and in our offices, right?
Yeah. And I brought this up. One of the things when I'm analyzing players is, do they make the players around them better? And this kid has that talent because he has that court vision. Gretzky used to say, the key is not where the puck is, it's where it's going. So he sees the court. He has very good instincts. And I put up my hand a second ago because one of the things I liked in the highlights was he was using his right hand. So, early tape that I watched on him, he was very left-handed dominant. So now, he's doing all of these things, going to his right, using his right hand besides going left and throwing his passes. So his game is really, really maturing. Hopefully, it's hard to tell because of the players he's going against, but hopefully he's in the weight room working on that strength to get around, get over picks and stuff like that. But like I said, this is a nice problem that we have. So next year, either he comes in on this team or we have, he has a lot of value if we're going for another piece, going for a wing or something like that. He's something that, we see guys with those talents getting paid to 40 and 38 and things like that. So I'm really glad that we have him.
Yeah, and I'm gonna play some highlights from the game in which he scored 22 points. This time, he's 20 years old, and this time he's looking like the best player out there on the floor.
Dominating.
He runs the second unit, so a lot of the times he's out there with bench players, but still, for a 20-year-old player to go out there against grown men playing in the second best league in the world. To be this to go out there and look like the best player on the court is a major achievement. So I'm gonna play the highlights. Chat, let me know what you think. Look at Rokas. He's number 31. All right. My favorite part about watching the international games is when they shoot the three and they go triple. That's probably my favorite part.
Yeah, he looks like he belongs, man. You just, at this young age, he feels real comfortable. You could see that, and he's only going to get better, man. Minutes make you better.
Yeah, and he might force his way over here with the way he's playing because they have the option to keep him over there longer. But if he's going to continue to contribute on a team like Barcelona, that's one of the best teams, overseas in that league, he's going to make a pretty good case for himself to at least be thrown into the mix. But I'm glad he's over there because now he's getting the actual minutes to perform and to show us what he has. It's not like other players where we have maybe like a Kevin Knox. We won't send him down to the G League, At least he's over there in Europe playing some of the top tier competition and working on his game and becoming a better, more valuable asset for the New York Knicks, regardless of what we decide to do with him, whether we put him out on the court or move him in a deal for a bigger piece.
Yeah, you've heard me always, repeat the term muscle memory, and you learn muscle memory in games. You could work out all you want off season and do everything shooting in the gym, but it's in games. Minutes in games where that muscle memory gets formed. So I'm glad that he's getting all of these reps. He's, whether second team and he'll make it onto the first team, but like you said, he's a young man going against men, 20-year-old going against really mature guys. So, and his stroke, it just looks so comfortable, and also consistent, his form and everything. I think, we were happy with Deuce shooting 50% from three in summer league. Well, Rokas shot 60%.
Yep.
So
limited action, but he was still showing the ability to knock down the three. So that's definitely a good sign.
Yeah, and I also
even overseas.
Yeah, and one of my favorite things. And one of my favorite things in summer league was him sitting next to Deuce, laughing on the bench. So that camaraderie. So it was just the opposite of the conversation we had with Luca. So where there was like a distance and everything, aloof. This guy was laughing, feeling like I belong here and goofing around with the guys on the bench. And That's what you want. That camaraderie. That's the culture we're talking about.
Foxy, you nailed it on the head. There was footage of Luca because his birthday was it when it was his birthday while he was out over there in Vegas, and the team sang him happy birthday, and he looked awkward. You know that defensive position where you're kind of closed, you're guarded. He didn't seem like he was a member of the team.
Yeah,
It's completely different with Rokas. And you made another point there where you were talking about, muscle memory is built in games. This might take us on a tangent, but that brings up something that Tom Thibodeau and Kevin Knox were discussing during their media interviews today, because Kevin Knox was talking about Summer League as it was just like a organized scrimmage or organized free runs. And Tom Thibodeau talked about Summer League as if it was a place where you have a higher level of intensity. You have you're in a team system where now you have to take those moves and what you were practicing, in practice and workouts, and apply it into a game setting. So to hear Kevin Knox and Tom Thibodeau to be on two different ends of the spectrum kind of just shows why Kevin Knox has not been getting any minutes. They're clearly not on the same page. And I'm sorry if this takes us on a tangent.
No, not at all. I heard that interview, and he said some things about, I hear Tibbs loud and clear that if I'm not hitting my shot, I have to show that I'm doing other things on the court, whether it's scoring, rebounding, and those other things. So, he's a real strange bird, Knox to read. You would think that there'd be fire under him, to do something, and he goes, I guess he goes to the beat of his own drum. He goes at his pace, and hopefully he's not going to go down the road of Rokas. But one of the things, let me see here, I had some notes for us today about Kevin Knox. He their contracts. His contract is not going to be, I think, into right here, October 18th, the last day to extend his contract. So. You would think in camp and everything that he's putting everything into it, man, to say, I want, I'm making that 5.8 this year, and I want that money next year. So he's got to let it out on that court, man. If not, he's going to be on somebody else's court.
He has to get on the court first. I really don't see a pathway.
Yeah, he'll get on the court in exhibition season, because that's what exhibition season is. But yeah, I'm with you. He's lucking out now that Luca, they got rid of Luca, so that makes it easier for him to be on this team at this point in time. And even if they keep a Dwayne Bacon and stuff like that, but
Bacon.
It was weird today hearing Tibbs talking about Wayne and Dwayne in the same thing.
Yeah, Wayne, I'm like, who is he? Which one is he talking about?
I was like, Wayne Selden and Dwayne Bacon. So, yeah, so we got a lot of Waynes and a lot of Dwaynes, but we got very little Knoxes.
So, yeah, I was saying I really don't see a roadmap for Knox getting on the court, because you would think he would operate at the three. We gave Fournier, what was it, 19 million? Or right around there. And then we went and we gave Burks somewhere around, 11, 12 million.
Yep.
So I don't see us giving those two players that much money to then turn around and put them on the bench, because you're going to have to put one of them on the bench for extended minutes if you're going to give Kevin Knox some reasonable playing time, at least playing time to be a factor for it to make sense to take away those guys' minutes.
Yeah, he has to, there has to be an injury for him to have any chance to get a moment or two. So on the court, otherwise he's going to pretty much be Theo Pinson.
A cheerleader?
Well, that's the only, because he's not going to get on the court, so whether it's at the 3, if somebody goes down, or whether it's at the 4 with Obi, somebody pulling a muscle and stuff like that. You want to do a quick shout out and say hello to our chat before we go to the next topic, or?
Definitely. We got a few members commenting in the chat. Boost Mobile pulled up. Salute to Boost. One of the mods, he's saying the Giants finally got one win. I had to make sure I had to put that on screen. I don't know when is the next time I'll be able to say that. So we got to get the good times rolling now.
I know.
Sure, you're saying good luck, get well, Luca. Go ahead, Foxy.
Yeah, no. I was just with the Giants. I'm so happy that they won. But Dripmore, hi Dripmore. Hope all is well. Salute to you, my friend. Hardwill, hope all is well. Everyone, if you haven't checked out For the Love of the Game with my guy Hector, Project Nerd. Hey, everybody that lives in New York, I'm sure that you can't stand de Blasio and you can't stand the people that are going to be running. But, if I lived in New York, I live in Jersey now, but if I still lived in New York, I'd be writing in, vote for Hector Beauchamp for mayor. I love my Hector. So shout out to Hector Beauchamp. Shout out to Worldwide L, Lawrence Mayberry, my guy. And again, shout out to Hardwill. Really knows his hoops. Great show. Please subscribe to them. They're really good guys. J Deals Direct. Hope all is well. Salute to you, my friend. Ron Cowan. Hey, our regular. Rokas got a nice floor game. Sees the floor well. And I'll be serving up dimes. Couldn't say it any better, Ron. Hope all is well with you. Our guy, Derek, one of the greats of all time.
Mm-hmm.
Derek. Every time he's on, I like to do my Derek chant. So hi, Derek. Hope all is well, man. Mike Morgan. Hey, and like you said, if you couldn't get run with the last year team, you won't get run on this team. Hardwill, you're 100% right. A nudie 25, man. So my guy, Sincere the Genius, all like you said, Boost Mobile, Camario Jarvis, Michael Jones, Fred Rodriguez. So all of you, thanks again. Please hit that like button. Please hit that subscribe button, and if you haven't turned on that all reminder bell, please do, so you don't miss any of the great content that my brother Quis and Sports Vibes put out. And also please share the link on your favorite social media platforms. And last but not least, shout out to the best mods on the planet, Annuity, Lex the Destroyer. I don't see Delano Steele here yet, our DSJ, but Derek, Ron Cowan, we appreciate all you do. So thanks so much, everyone.
Also, Derek, shoot me an email, sportsvibestv@gmail. I want to send you some tickets to the preseason game against the Pistons. I saw Cade already at Summer League, so I want to give somebody else the opportunity to check them out when they go up against the Knicks. So shoot me that email, and I'll send you the tickets.
Great, you're
Fox,
awesome. Shout out to Stafford Don.
I want to make sure. Oh, go ahead.
No, just a quick shout out to my guy, Stafford Don, great supporter for a long time, and I really appreciate all his great questions and just a great supporter. Warren Franklin, Charlie Ward's cousin, has entered the building. What's day? Our guy. Hope all is well.
Salute. So now, Foxy, let's talk a little bit about the X and O's and how this team has to improve if we want to move past the first round this season. Getting to the first round was a major surprise, but we did it on a team that we didn't expect to get there, really. Now that we have some reinforcements, I want to look at some areas that this team is going to have to step up if we're going to, break through that glass ceiling and get to the second round and even further. So, Foxy, Tibbs had his own offensive must up during training camp. Do you think it's the legitimate mantra or the legitimate areas that this team is going to try to focus on, or do you think it was just the generic coaching stuff,
the latter,
that there's media members there to take pictures?
I don't know about the media, but I think they all have that college spirit as coaches. Hit them high, hit them low, and if they get up, hit them again. So I think that all of these things that he has are the generic elements of like you have the pace, spacing and pass, attack the rim, offensive things. I think the funniest part is, and it's funny, I was talking to our boy JD, and when we saw this, we laughed because these are giant banners in the Westchester facility, and a couple of people took pictures of them, but they were acting like, well, we have some really secret stuff that got out, and we laughed because number 7 on the list was threes, and hopefully threes are not going to be 7 on the list. They'll be a little higher up on this list. But these are all things that a good coach. And when I saw this, I said, these are the things that Tibbs says in his press conferences. We have to attack the rim. We have better rim reads. We got to move without the ball, our execution. So that's coaches speak. That's coaches speak. Mm-hmm. So none of it was, it looked good. It looks great on banners. But I don't know if it's what's said behind closed doors.
Yeah, like you just look at it. It's just generic things that you want to do with an NBA team. You want to have spacing out there on the court. You want to attack the rim. You want to move without the ball. Shoot threes. This is a league in which points per game keep going up, and people keep shooting more and more threes. High volume offenses. So you're gonna have to shoot threes in order to keep up. And offensive rebounding. You definitely want to try to get some second chance points out there. So this is definitely just what I think. I would think any coach is telling this to any team out there. It's not like a coach is gonna say, "Hey, threes are not gonna be part of our game plan."
Exactly.
So, Foxy, if you were Thibodeau out there, what are some areas you would want to see this team improve? What are some coaching that you would give these players? What are some areas that you were saying, this is what I'm going to need you to improve upon if you're going to be part of the rotation?
Yeah. Do you have that other slide?
Yeah. As we get into it. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I was going to say, this is, when Quis and I were talking, we said, off, not on the broadcast, we said, you know what, like Quis just said, this is more of a propaganda, that we just saw on the banners. But what do you think really is on the blackboard, on Tibbs and close room that nobody sees? And right off the bat, these are the areas that jumped off. We're 26th in points scored with 107 points. In today's NBA, you can't be, a few spots from the last spot in scoring. And the only thing that saved us last year is that we were number one in points allowed at 104. So we have to score more points. We were 30th in pace. And another thing is, the amount of possessions that you have. The more possessions, the more points you can score. So, but here are the big ones, that we were 26th in field goal attempts at 86.5. And the weird part is, what separates us at 26th from the number one spot by Milwaukee and Memphis is 5.5 shots a game at 92. So that's attainable, I think, especially with Fournier and Kemba on this team. But here's the big stuff that we were just talking about, folks. We were 27th in 3-point attempts, 30 per game. And Derrick Rose touched on this in his media day this week. He said that he thinks that we should be up to 38 to 43s. And I totally agree. And Quis and I touched on this when we were going over that there has to be, we think that, that they'll still come in. Like I said, it's only 5.5 shot difference between the team that leads the league in the field goal attempts and the Knicks at 26. So, but change the mix. So come in at 87 shots, but have a higher mix. So come in at, instead of 33s a game, come in at 43s a game, and have 46, a little over 46 twos. That'll, and people are like saying, well, Bullock, we're missing Bullock on defense, and we're going to miss Peyton on defense. Folks, with the offense that Fournier brings and the offense that Kemba brings, if we hit more threes, and let's say we go from 107 points a game where we were last year, and we get up to 115, 117, so basically 8 to 10 points more a game, and that could just be us making 4 shots, a few threes, and stuff like that. That's a huge difference, because even on defense, where we were at 104, if we gave up 6 more points per game with Fournier and Kemba on defense, we'd still have a higher delta. If we scored 100, we'd have a 7-point delta if we scored 117 points and gave up 110, rather than the 107 and 104 this year. So I think our offense will negate the defensive, us not maybe being as good of defense. But I strongly feel we'll still be a top 10 defensive team this year. Some of the other key things, and we touched on this, we're 29th in the league in 2-point percentage, meaning accuracy. And so much of that we touched on over the last few weeks, folks, in the chat and SV Nation, that this had a lot to do with RJ finishing in the paint, Randall finishing in the paint, Burks finishing in the paint, Quickly finishing in the paint. They need to finish better. That it means everything. That especially if we're going to put up the same amount of shots, they have to be more efficient for higher percentage shots. And you had a great couple of points yesterday. You had more than great couple of points, but you made a point yesterday with Inf on the show last night about our mid-range shooting, where we stand. You want to repeat that?
What, on shots 10 feet or less?
And yeah, 10 feet or less. So we were ranking really low, folks. I think you said from 0 to 5, and then from 5, basically a short mid range and long mid range. We did not fare very well statistically last year. So we have to
you want the exact stats, Foxy?
Or I just thought it was a great stat you brought up with info yesterday that just shows what we're talking about today. Is what we love to differentiate ourselves is. A lot of people did shows this week showing those banners. What we want to talk about is what are they actually talking about with the door closed with no press around? They have to talk about this. Like, folks, we can't be last in the league, 29th in the league, one away from the last in, 2-point percentage accuracy. We have to shoot better on higher percentage shots. I'm glad, that we were third in the league on 3-point percentage, but we shoot a lot more 2s than we do on 3s. So we have to get better on those. So
Foxy, that stat you were talking about, we were the second worst team in field goal percentage on shots 5 feet or less at 58%, and we were sixth worst in field goal percentage on shots 5 feet to 9 feet at 39%. So we definitely have to get better shooting in the paint. That's why the Nerlens Noel story to me really kind of perked my ears up, because I was like a little skeptical, but theoretically it makes sense. Get Nerlens Noel's defender out the paint, and our guys Julius Randle, RJ, Fournier, Kemba, they're going to have a much easier time to finish in the paint, because there's not a lot of guys out here that can guard them one-on-one. And that's the big difference from, this season to last season. There's notes being circulated of Atlanta Hawks game plan against us in the playoffs, and it was force Reggie Bullock to put the ball on the floor. Well, now we have Evan Fournier. And if Nerlens Noel is going to take a defender like Clint Capella out of the paint, then I'd see, us getting better looks at the rim and being able to convert those but those better scoring opportunities. And also, Foxy, you're talking about the 33s per game. I'm not going to go 38, 43s like Derrick Rose is saying, but even if we add 5 more threes, that'll put us at 35 3-pointers a game. And that'll put us right middle of the pack, 14, 15. If you look at what the team shot last season. And I think that's all we would really need, because yes, we are going to take some steps back defensively, but I think with Tibbs and with some of the defenders and the way we play defense as a team, our philosophical defense, we are going to be able to still be a top 10 defense, especially in the regular season, when we already know there's going to be a bunch of teams out there that are their eyes on what's happening in the regular season. Their eyes on what's going to happen in the postseason. So, JD said he had a pretty good point. Tibbs is the type of coach he's going to coach to win every single game. So we're going to be playing top tier defense throughout the season. And just off that alone, we should be a top 10 defense. Where we go, and if we're going to go higher than that top 10, maybe we top 5 again or top 3 again. So all going to come to, is RJ Barrett going to develop into that two-way star out there on the perimeter? Is Evan Fournier going to up his defense? Is Kemba Walker going to up his defense? Because if you look at this team's defensive rating, those two are probably our weakest points in the starting lineup. So it's going to come to how we play defense as a team. I think offensively, as long as we start shooting more threes and are able to knock them down at the same efficient rate, in which we were first, I think, in 3-point percentage.
We were third. We were third.
Third? Yeah, third. I'm sorry. I apologize. So if we keep shooting at that rate, we'll be good to go.
Absolutely. And, it was funny when you brought up Evan and people talk about defense. One of the things that I loved this week during his media day and just talking was him bringing judo toughness. Some of you who may have missed it, both his parents were world-class, literally champion judo practitioners, and both Quis and I love our mixed martial arts. And Evan practiced mixed martial arts, specifically judo, for a long time. And if you're an athlete and you see the physicality in games, it's a whole different thing. Talking as a guy, when you can beat somebody's ass, you're not afraid of anyone, because you have certain skills, whether you can judo throw or choke them out or do certain things, that it gives you a different confidence that you don't fear certain things. You may get upset that your game may be off or anything, but you're never intimidated. And I love that, especially on defense. So with the type, as long as he's in the right spot, I feel very, very strong that it's not going to be as big of a thing on, Kemba's a different story because of his size. is really small, especially compared to Peyton. I sent out a tweet this week where there was a picture of Kemba and Rose, and I was shocked where Rose was huge compared to Kemba, and Rose is only 6'2". So it just showed how little he is. So on switches, he may be, but the beauty is, people covering for each other. But you brought up a great point before about Noel, about, the point that was made. And one of the key statistics from last year that you have up there is that we were 25th in the league getting our shot blocked. And RJ had a shot blocked 86 times last year. Randall had a shot blocked 70 times. And we've talked about, we hope that in a perfect world that they had a little more athleticism, a little more bounce than they actually do, and that they use physicality. But, hopefully that they've been working on their handle to get more separation. But part of their issue, I really feel, was lack of spacing and for getting the shots blocked. So if we can get a Noel out of there, on certain sets and, and where, he could hit a three, I think that was the biggest news from him for last night. That folks, Noel is taking 3-pointers, but I'd love us to get that number down where we're getting our shots blocked, especially by our key guys. But, which leads us to another point that, we were 23rd in the league in getting to the foul line. RJ got to the line a lot more his rookie year than he did last year. So I want a quiet violence to come into RJ and Randall and some of our guys' game that I don't want them going up soft. I want them going up for a dunk, and if they don't dunk it, they're going to get fouled. Get to that line more. You get the guys in foul trouble. You get free shots at the line. So it's really important that we get to the line more.
Yeah,
so
also,
yeah,
go ahead, Foxy.
No, please, no.
I was just going to talk about the assists and how.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have a lot more playmakers on this roster. We have Kemba, we have Fournier, and just to once again reiterate the point, the Hawks knew we weren't going to be able to get anything out of Reggie Bullock if he put the ball on the floor. And the same could be said with Alf when he was out there on the court. We really didn't have much faith when the ball was in their hands and they were trying to create for themselves or others. Now it's a completely different situation with Kemba, who's a gifted scorer, gifted playmaker when healthy. We have to put that disclaimer just to make sure. And then the same thing with Fournier. Fournier is a pretty good role player, but he is a player that can score and also find his teammates. So I think, we're going to take a little bit of the burden off Julius Randle, but these guys are going to eat a lot more because I think Tom Thibodeau in his offensive philosophy, he wants the ball to move. I think we saw that with the generic the generic points he had up there at the Westchester facility. We need ball movement, and with ball movement comes assists and getting good looks for your teammates. So definitely see us bumping up from 29th in assists. We have actual legitimate point guard play for the entire 48 minutes headed into the season.
Yeah, not only the point guard play, but like you said, what I'm really looking forward to, and I wanted to talk to you and the chat and the SV Nation about, we know Tibbs' identity is defense, but Woody left this year as a coach. Who is our offensive guru as a coach? Is it Johnny Bryant? Who is the person? Because I was saying last year, after the season, like, what are we going to do? Are we going to still have the same scenario that the guy comes down, kicks it into Julius, then everybody lights up a cigarette and waits for Julius to, do what Julius figure it out. And if he realizes that he can't do anything with 5 seconds left on the shot clock and kicks it out, then hopefully a guy could hit it or has enough time to do a hockey pass to somebody else. But that's not really a good offense. That's not a really good offense at all. So I'm hoping that there's more movement. Sometimes on some of the sets, it's like a guy's just with his hands on his hips hanging out in a corner for 20 seconds. And we want to see more movement, cutting to the basket, making better, but we have to get better. And like you said, move that ball movement, get the best possible shots, but we can't be 29th in assists, folks. That's not a good thing. And, the funny thing about pace that we had up there, that pace is a misleading type of stat. Yep. It's about the total amount of possessions, and the more possessions, the more shots you get up. But we were 30th in pace. Phoenix was 26th in pace. Trae Young in Atlanta was 24th in pace. Denver was right there. So, it's a strange thing that a lot of the great teams, the Clippers with Kawhi and with Paul George, they were last in the league in pace. So pace can be a little deceiving, but not assist. We need to get better with team movement, ball movement, and player movement, and get those assists up. And one of the other things that Tibbs touched on was I don't know if we touched on that part, but physicality. Be physical, but without fouling. And I think the reason that's up on the banner is because we were 25th in the league in committing fouls. 5 away from the last place that we had. We can't get ourselves in foul trouble, and we can't give our opponents free shots. So one thing is being physical, but another thing is last year, Bullock's not here, but there was a lot of bonehead fouls by him last year where you just shook your head, and guys leaving the feet. So come on, we got to get better on that. And the last couple of stats, we were 21st in steals and 23rd in turnovers forced. But I also equate that we were, the best, one of the best in the points allowed. So like in the NFL, it's like having a great defense that leads the league in the points allowed, but they don't get any interceptions or fumbles. But you know what? I'll take a team that leads the league in defense without interceptions, so we could mimic, and like I said, be a top 10, a top 5 defense. I'll take that, being 21st in steals and 23rd in turnovers forced. But I think Kemba, and I think this team, and God knows if our guy Deuce gets some minutes, I think some of those steals numbers will go up and stuff like that. But I think they'll be smarter on those turnover, creating more turnovers. So it's something, but let's vote. Tibbs will have a good defense this year. I don't know if we'll, like I said, be disruptive enough to, be a top leader in steals or turnovers. But to me, that's secondary to being the amount of points we allow.
I hear you, Fox. Let's give a quick shout out to some people in the chat. We've got Ron Cowan. He's saying, I agree. Ball movement and player movement makes a world of difference. Our guy George in the chat as well. Salute to George from Into the Knicks verse. He's saying, let's get those likes up, guys. I haven't even checked what we're doing over here. 35 likes. We've got around 86, 87 people in chat. Do us a solid. Support the channel. We out here hustling, giving you the best content we can give you on the Knicks. And I really appreciate everything you guys have done for this channel. So just smash that like button, and it lets me know that you guys are appreciating what I'm providing to you. And I'm going to keep, trying to provide bigger and better content here on the channel. You've seen Foxy pull up to the channel, co-host with me. We've got Inf, we've got George, who stops by the channel and co-host with me as well, and JD. So we're making moves out here, guys.
The syndicate.
Make sure you join the movement. Yeah, the syndicate here at SV Nation. So thank you guys for everything. Let's see. We got somebody from Twitch, Foxy.
Whoa.
Little envelopes. He's saying, yo, on Twitch now. What's up? Yeah, we're on multiple platforms. Facebook. We're on, this is YouTube, and we're also on Twitch. So if you're running any one of those platforms, make sure you throw us a subscribe.
Yeah, our guy George, again, please, if you haven't subscribed, please subscribe to the Knicks verse. Our guy George is fantastic, great content, great guy. Tibbs doesn't want shots being taken if guys aren't in position to get back on D. Elf was the main culprit of that. George, I can't believe that is such a great observation, because Quis and I were talking, and I was going over a scenario last year, looking at film of just saying that a shot went up, or why are we getting so many shots blocked, or why is our 2-point shot percentage so low? And it's like, wow, Mitch is in the paint, so RJ gets the ball, he drives left, that's a shock, and he goes up for a shot, but Mitch is in the paint, Randall's in the paint, And I'm like, what the hell is Peyton doing in the paint? I remember I said that to you, and it's what George is saying. I'm like, why isn't he out? So, for defense, for a transition, what the hell is he doing all the way up there? So we're all really, really happy that Peyton's not going to be here making those boneheaded plays or just being out of position. Let him go sulk on Phoenix's bench this year. So, hey, one of the good guys, brother BKL Contreras, I hope all is well. Good to see you, my friend. Edward Walker, Knicks need to play faster this season, rebound and start the break. We played too much half-court offense last season. Yeah, Edward, I'm with you, man. How many times after the game I'd look at the stats and say, jeepers, man, 6 fast break points for the game. You wouldn't mind it for the first half or something. We just didn't do that much. So, unbelievable.
Foxy.
Yep.
We talked about what the players have to improve upon. Let's look at Coach Thibodeau, because some people may say there's not really anything you can look for him to get better at. He was the coach of the year, right? But I think as Knicks fans who have watched as Knicks fans who have watched the games, all the games, we know, Thibodeau is not the perfect coach. So what are some areas you're looking for him to improve in terms of being the coach of this team and him helping us get through and to the second round?
Well, the first foremost for this team is minutes management. And also, you just don't want history repeating itself. What he did in Chicago and his stay in Minnesota, he drove those players into the ground, man. And they had to have team meetings. His first year, he has a major, major impact on teams. There was a great article. I'll look it up and I'll put it in the link. I think it was almost a year and a half ago, from The Athletic, talking about the 4 stages of Tibbs coaching. The first year he gets there, it's a major impact. But the second year, the impact of the minutes on the players, and it just talks about third and by the third or fourth year, he's out of there. So we don't want history repeating. So minutes management. Randall had nothing left in the tank. RJ had, and we're talking a 72-game season, nothing left in the tank. So, and especially with Kemba, the good thing about Kemba and Rose, that God bless this, is that having both of them almost has a built-in minutes management to get them both minutes. So we'll be managing them, but he has to do a much better job of that. What the chat, the SV Nations brought up, he has to get out of the old, we have to get a more up-tempo offense. As we talked about, get more three-point offense in our 3-point mix in our offensive scheme. And I'm sure all of you felt this. There were times last year I just felt he didn't have a good feel for the game. He's so rigid with his substitution schedule that it's like 3 minutes to go in the first quarter, and I'm putting this guy in. You're like saying, whoa, Bullock is hot. Knox is hot. I called, several times last year, I called Tibbs a cooler. Like, I'm old school. If the basketball gods, give you a gift that you're in a zone and you have your Michael Jordan moment where you're just like you put your hands up like the rim looks 50 feet wide. I can't miss. You can't take a guy out. I don't mean anything, Tibbs, but you got to let the guy ride. And, and if he misses you got to let him get snake eyes 3 times before you take him out. You can't be so damn rigid. And how many times we saw a guy, he's hitting threes. Tibbs take him out. Second half comes. Didn't get it back, man. He cooled off. He has to have a better feel for the thing, for the game. And last but not least, I think the biggest statistic, if I was Leon Rose, and these are the things that that Quis and I are talking about, folks, that if we were Leon Rose and with Tibbs not in the room, so Worldwide West, Leon, and even Dolan saying, let's assess, he won Coach of the Year, but where do we go from here with Tibbs? Tibbs has a 25-36 career playoff coaching record. And there was always hints, little whispers about him not being really he's a good regular season coach, but he's not necessarily in 25-36 show that he was 23-28 his career at Chicago in the playoffs, but he was 1-4 in Minnesota, and now he's 1-4 in New York. So he has to demonstrate, and whether we went against Miami in the regular season, there were, and also it felt like the rumors that the little whispers that we heard or I heard was that he's not really great at in-game adjustments. So whether it was Miami, I felt we got out-coached last year, and then not making adjustments in the Atlanta series. We talked about it last week. We've seen guys like Dwayne Casey who win Coach of the Year and out a year later. If we have a nice season, God willing we do with this roster, folks, and we make it into the playoffs and it doesn't end up well, it may be Johnny Bryant time. He's a 63, 64-year-old guy. You can't teach an old dog new tricks sometimes. If he doesn't show that he can win in the playoffs, I think that's the biggest thing hanging over Tibbs. I don't care that he won Coach of the Year. It don't mean anything. It's about the chip. And if you can't make in-game adjustments and win in the playoffs, all the stuff that you win during the year doesn't mean shit, man.
Yeah, Tibbs' rotation last season drove me crazy.
Yeah.
There were times where he would put IQ on, at the end of the bench when we needed to see more from him, or we needed, more offensive firepower, and he would go and bring in players that we didn't think would give us the best opportunity to light up the scoreboard. But I think Tibbs, there are things that you can look to him and say, all right, I like what you're able to bring to this team. But, if his rotations aren't going to make sense, then I think that's something that the media is definitely going to light a fire to his feet, because it's going to be a second year in a row where we're having the same issues, where we're talking about the same things. And now we have more talent on this team. So now I think it's on the coaching staff to make sure we're putting these players in the best position to succeed. And in order to do that, Tom Thibodeau is going to have the right rotations. He's going to have to mix and match and see which lineup gives us the best opportunity, both to start the game off on the right foot, and also with the second unit. It sounds like he's going to stay with the same second unit. He's just going to have to make sure that he's not pulling those guys too quickly. Allow Obi to go out there and learn through some of his errors. If he's making glaring mistakes and you have to sit him down and say, get your mind right, I understand that. But at the end of the day, Obi's a older player. If you're talking about young players coming in, he's one of those older guys. He's not a young spring chicken, compared to a RJ Barrett or something like that. So and
he has a year under his thing. Yeah,
and he got a year under his belt, and yes, he should be making less mistakes because he should know exactly what you want from him. So allow him to go out there, and it's going to be important. I think Obi's going to be very important because, like you said, with the minutes management, we should not need Julius Randle to go out there and play the amount of minutes he did last season. We've got help. So let Julius Randle take his time throughout the regular season, make sure he has a full tank for the postseason, and give Obi the burn. Because if Obi's able to go out there and showcase his talents, then we can say, all right, now we have even more help for Julius Randle. We can see if we can play the both of them together. Because if Obi is showing that he has a talent that he has to force himself onto the court, then now we can try some of those lines with Julius Randle and Obi on the court together. And I think that is going to be a scenario in which a lot of people didn't envision entering this season, to see a lineup where we can have Obi do what he does if he's able to knock down the three attack, and have Julius Randle who can play his pseudo, point forward role and still be that kind of bruiser, get him into the paint more. I want to see Julius Randle finish around the rim a little bit better. He's looking like Melo out there, sure, but at the end of the day, you're our power forward. Bang a little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And, one of the things in media day that caught my attention was Quickly talking this week, and a couple of the guys talking about how tough he is on the players. And, whether it's in football, the Belichicks and stuff, coaches get away with being tough, that old school tough, as long as you win. Once you don't, but if you're not winning, that tough gets real old to a player where I'm a grown man. I don't need you barking at me all the damn time. Get off my damn back. But if you're winning, you look the other way like, you know what? We're winning, so there's something there. But, if there's a hiccup, that tough nose, that barking and all that stuff that he does, that can get real tired quick. So no pun intended, but that can get tiring. So hopefully he has a good balance, and hopefully Randall showed he's the mediator between the coach and the team, and that he's whispering. He's the coach whisperer now, saying, "Hey, coach, you got to chill out here," or I need you to stress this. But this is a make or break, as weird as it sounds for a guy who just won the coach of the year. This is a make break year for Tibbs. They're giving him stuff that, Tibbs talked about. They gave him staff, they gave him technology, they gave him analytics, meaning Dolan. Dolan's gone to his pockets. Folks, you can't say anything. He's going to his pocket. So if he's going to his pocket and we don't make it past the first round, it may be curtains for Tibbs.
Yeah, Foxy, another thing. We were talking about the offense and what is Tibbs, who is the mastermind behind this offense. Well, last season, the excuse was we didn't have training, we didn't have the full normal training camp, we didn't have the regular preseason. It was a new environment for the coaches, for the players. Well, now they don't have that excuse. They can't come out the gate, I don't think, slow offensively, because Tibbs is now given the time with his players to implement his system. And I think the offense should definitely click. We've got more weapons. We've got more time to get acclimated as a team. And the second unit has already played with each other. So they should come out and they should hit the ground running as soon as the season starts. So I should see this team be a well-oiled machine, I think, to start the season. Not saying we should go out and blow out teams, but I shouldn't go out there and see players who look a little bit confused or don't know where they're supposed to be or what they're supposed to be doing out there.
I agree with you. I was talking to George today, and he was working on a video for Disney, and I was watching the Giants. But I just said to him, we have to come out smoking, folks, in the first 10 games. We have to be, I'm hoping 8-2 or 7-3, because it's going to be the momentum that'll carry us. But if we have a tough first 10 games, I hope not, and I don't think so either. I think everyone's going to be really motivated, all the new members and everything, to come out hot, but it's really important for us to come out hot. And you know what? There's a lot of stuff going on in the Eastern Conference for us this year. Miami has 6 guys over 30 years old. You have the Ben saga playing out in Philadelphia. You have the Kyrie saga over in Brooklyn. There's a lot of good stuff, opportunities for us to show that last year's not a fluke with the roster changes and with the discipline and everything. So I'm really hoping that we go balls to the wall the first 10 games and put a signature, let everybody know that last year wasn't a fluke. If anything, we're going to show that we're building on last year. We're a much better team. We're going to be much tougher, better shooting, smarter, more cohesive. Folks, watch out for us. We're, especially with that second team, we're a dangerous team. And I want everyone after 10 games to say, folks, the Knicks are for real.
Yeah, what you call it? George is pretty confident. He's saying the Knicks will not have a losing month the entire season. Book it.
Yep. And I hope he's 100% right. And we were cool last year. We didn't have really, what was it, 3 games? I think a biggest losing streak. Yeah, I think we'll do well. But the whole issue is, the stacked teams in the Eastern. There are a lot of good teams, man. So
there's a lot of good teams, but a lot of Knicks fans don't have faith in teams like the Heat and the Bulls. I think they're going to be good. I don't fall in that camp.
Yeah, I think Lowry still has. What I was thinking about? I thought about Lowry this week, and I thought about Toronto with Deuce and a couple of our guys. Norman Powell, a couple of years ago, was 46th draft, a 46th pick in the draft. Fred VanVleet was undrafted, and Kyle Lowry was, I think, 26 or 27 in the first round. So anybody, Deuce, there's reasons, but there's no reason Deuce can't be a Kyle Lowry, folks. So a couple in the same thing with Grimes. So we just talked about guys, and it's very similar. They're really tough guys. So that start with defense, and their offensive games came around. So I think there's a lot of hope for the kids that we got this year. Just looking at Toronto from a couple of years ago, we have guys. You don't have to be a first round pick to make a big difference as long as you're a dog. And we got a couple of young dogs that are going to put pressure. And if the next, if there's some minutes management, if there's an injury or there's some foul trouble, I'm not worried about our kids getting in there. In fact, I want them to get some minutes and some burn to, get that under their belt and get that, the nerves out of there and let them play games, play the game that they can.
I want to say salute to Be Civilized. He's saying salute Knicks family. For once in decades, New York Knicks now have a complete team. So my thinking is this: is that Tibbs will be much more situational when it comes to our players getting minutes when needed.
I hope so because he's old
You
school,
really
man.
hope so.
He's a very rigid with 10 guys and just keeping. We saw with Peyton last year how many times we like, are you kidding? You're still starting Peyton? He's really like that, and so we were hoping that at the end of the season he went a different after we made the Derrick Rose acquisition, but then we had a malcontent sitting on Peyton sitting on the other side and not around the other players. So we don't want any situations like that this year. That's for sure. Quick shout out to the chat. Thanks again. Please do me a favor. Right now we have 108 people in the chat and we have 48 likes. So do me a favor. Please hit that thumbs up. Please hit that subscribe button. Please hit that all remind the bell so you don't miss out on any of the great content from Sports Vibes. Please share the link on your favorite social media platform. And last but not least, thanks again to the best mods in the planet. We appreciate all you do. Kendrick Adams, he pulled the plug on Peyton way too late. Agree with you, man.
Way too late.
Way too late. We just need a healthy
no
Mitch.
Recovering at that point.
Yeah. Manj 1985. Hey, Manj, if you're new to the channel, please put a thumbs up because we'd like to give you a proper welcome to this SV Nation. We just need a healthy Mitch. We couldn't handle Capella last year without him. You're right, man. Right on. He couldn't handle the pick and roll, but something. You want to talk about Mitch for a second? You want to segue over there?
Yeah, that's the perfect segue. That's where I was going. That's why I took away the share screen.
Beautiful.
That's exactly where I was going.
So go for it.
So yesterday we talked about Mitch with Inf, and I wanted to bring it up to you, Foxy. How are you feeling about the Mitch injury? The fact that it seems like I won't say he re-aggravated the injury because there's no firm reports on that, but it seems like he's starting back at square one. In August or right around Summer League, it looked like he was working out with Kenny Payne in Vegas. We saw him on the court. There were talks in the Atlanta Hawks series that it was, some thought that Mitch could return in time to play a factor or be a factor in that series. So now we're hearing news.
Or the second round if we made it, yeah.
If we made it, yeah. So now we're hearing news that Mitchell Robinson isn't even fully sprinting. He's doing light jogs and he's not practicing with the team. So Foxy, when you hear these things, where does it take you? What are you thinking is going on over there with the Knicks and how they're handling Mitchell Robinson?
Well, be truthful, the first thing I think about is this guy Keyside, and I don't know, folks, if you know him, but he's a really cool guy. He talked about the Jones, the Jones fracture. What's it called?
The Jones fracture.
Jones fracture. You're the one that said it along that they didn't comment. So for him to have this amount of months off, and still them being cautious. We talked about off camera that there's an element where we said, by the halfway point last year, he was hurting. So I don't know whether the Knicks are saying, you know what? He's a big guy. He's put on 30 pounds. He put on 60 pounds over the last 2 years, but let's say he put on 30 pounds over the last year. 30 pounds. He's coming off this foot injury. We need Mitch, like you just said, fresh for the second half run and for the playoffs. So if he doesn't hit opening, the opening night of the regular season, it's not the biggest thing. So one of the crazy things last night on Keith's show with Inf was our guy JD posed a question. And what was the question?
Who's going to be a bigger key to the Knicks' success this season, Mitch or Evan Fournier?
So when I heard that, the first thing I went, oh gosh, Mitch. My gut immediately said Mitch, man. He's our anchor on defense, offensive rebounding, Mitch. But then Foxy took a step back and then he went into his analytics lab. And folks, this is the weird thing. The Knicks were 26-15 without Mitchell Robinson last year. And, which is surprising, but we were 14-15 when Mitchell Robinson started last year. So, which shocked me. And then using Reggie Bullock with Fournier last year, when Bullock scored 10 points or less or didn't play, we were 15 and 20. When Bullock scored 10 points, so meaning from that wing position, when Bullock scored 10 points or more, we were 26 and 11. So my gut yesterday when JD posed that question was, I think Mitch is more valuable. But the weird part is the stats show that we need that scorer. That, you know, whether it was mirrors and smoke with Noel having a great season and Taj coming in, whatever, that we were able to, you know, get over the hump that way. But we didn't play well last year when we didn't have a wing who could shoot. So Fournier may actually be more valuable statistically, that we have a guy that can drain it, and that that we can do, you know, with Randall and other things, we can make out without Mitch, and we did last year. So it's kind of strange, you know, when I couldn't believe it that we were 26 and 15 without Mitch, and we were 14 and 15 with Mitch when he started. So that's, you know, the crazy Foxy stat of the week. And so it was a real interesting thing that JD posed. So it's very thought provoking, but you know, being politically correct, I think they're both important. One to anchor the defense and one to put up the threes. But it's interesting that, and I think maybe that's why with those stats behind the scenes, why they didn't sign him to an extension. Besides the health issue, you know, he hasn't really shown that the stats show that they can win without Mitch. You know, and as much as we're like, no, that pick and roll defense and that offensive rebounding and him getting out and on covering the perimeter and all those other things, we survived without him, man.